This conference will now be recorded.
So a very good morning, afternoon or evening to one and all present here virtually with me today for day 2 webinar. So today as some of the new speakers have joined with us, before that I will give you the details about this GoToMeetings app and everything. So how to present. Just give me a 1 minute. Okay. So on the GoToMeetings app or web page, you can find 4 icons at the bottom of your screen. That is mic, camera, screen, and leave. Mic, click on that to mute or unmute yourself. I request you all to stay muted while our speakers are presenting their research work so that it doesn't cause any disturbance to them. And camera, you can use this button to share or unshare the webcam. If you have the option to share the webcam, you can do it. Otherwise, it's completely your choice. Screen, you can use this button to share your screen with us. This is the main part during your presentation. After I call your name from my side, I will be making you the presenter, and only I give the permission you can able to share your screen with us. So once I make you the presenter, you can click on the screen button and you will find a pop-up window to share your screen with us. And the
Thank
fourth
you very much.
icon is leave. This is your fourth icon where you can use this to leave this session. On the top center, you can use the options to change your display settings. At the top right corner, you will have a 3 icons, people, chat, and settings. In the chat option, you can chat with me or any other participants. For the settings, you can use this button to check for the settings of your speakers and microphone. So as mentioned, kindly remain muted during the presentations so that presenters don't get disturbed. And for any questions, you can ask directly to the presenter or you can send your questions in the message box too. Well, let's not take much of your time. Our program of day 2 starts with a keynote presentation presented by Dr. Osman Adguzel from Firat University, Turkey. And the title of the talk is The Role of Hard and Soft Phases in a Memory Behavior of Shape Memory Alloys. Hello, Dr. Osman. I'm going
Yeah,
to make you the presenter now.
thank you very much.
Yes, so you are the presenter now. Please share your
Yeah,
screen with us.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, we can able to see your screen.
Yeah. Is it okay?
Okay. Yes, perfect. You can make it a full screen and with your first slide, you can start presenting.
Just a minute.
Yeah, you can go to slideshow. Slideshow.
Yeah, okay. Unfortunately,
Yeah, please click on the slideshow in the upper
yeah, okay.
toolbar.
Okay, thank you very much. Can I start?
Please click on the slideshow option so that it will be full screen.
Uh,
Yeah, you can go to left side, left side.
just a minute, please.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. Please go to left side. Yeah. Uh, yeah.
Yeah,
Click on
just a
the
minute.
slideshow. Yes, yes.
Is it okay?
Yes, perfect. Yeah,
Okay,
perfect.
thank
Please
you very much.
continue with your presentation.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to the distinguished scholars, academicians, participants, moderators, and speakers at the different conference at the different location on the globe of the world. First of all, I wish like to introduce my sincere thanks to the conference company and conference management to provide me a facility to deliver my talk at this important conference. let me inform you that this is a multidisciplinary conference, and I am sure you agree with me that every scientist is not familiar with every subject of the science. Therefore, at the beginning of my talk, I will introduce the basic terms and definitions related to the shape memory effect and crystallographic transformation. My presentation is based on shape memory effect and superelasticity. As you can see, the title of my presentation is The Role of Hard and Soft Phases in Memory Behavior of Shape Memory Alloys. Shape memory alloys are thermoresponsive materials and exhibit a peculiar property called shape memory effect. This behavior is initiated by thermomechanical treatments on cooling and heating processes and performed thermally on heating and cooling in the bulk level. And this behavior can be called thermal memory or thermoelasticity. For the shape memory effect or thermoelasticity, these alloys can be plastically deformed in low temperature conditions and recover the original shape just by thermal means on heating over the reverse austentic transformation temperature after removing. This material, shape of this material cycle between deformed and original shape on cooling and heating after first treatment in reversible way. These alloys exhibit another property called superelasticity, which is performed mechanically stress in a constant temperatures, and this behavior can be called mechanical memory. This is the main processes for shape memory effect or thermoelasticity. As I mentioned, in the shape memory effect, first the material is cooled. On cooling, shape of the material doesn't change, but crystallographic transformations occur in the atomic level. Second step is deformation. This is plastic deformation due to the soft phase character of the low temperature of material. The material keeps the deformed shape after releasing by storing the strain energy. After that, on heating, releasing by recovering the original shape, and shape of the material cycle between deformed and original shapes on cooling and heating in reversible way. Shape memory effect and superelasticity is result of the thermomechanical reactions, thermal and stress-induced Martin-Stitt transformations, and evaluated by the changes in crystal changes in the atomic scale. This phenomenon is performed thermally in a temperature interval depending on the forward and reverse transformations on cooling and heating. Superelasticity is also performed in the parent phase region just above the austenitic finish temperatures, and for the superelasticity, materials are stressed in elasticity limit in the parent phase region of the material, and shape recovery is performed instantly and simultaneously upon releasing the applied stress. This is the temperature hysteresis of shape memory effect. As I mentioned, in the shape memory effect, thermal induced Martin-Stitt transformation occurs on cooling, and transformations start at MS temperature and completed at MF temperature. After that, on heating, reverse austenitic transformations start at AS temperature and completed at AF temperatures. MS is Martin-Stitt start and MF is Martin-Stitt finish temperature. AS and AF also austenitic start and finish temperature of the materials. This is the stress strain characteristic in shape memory effect and superelasticity. As I mentioned, in the shape memory effect, the materials are deformed in the low temperature condition. As you can see, early stage of the deformations exhibit elastic material behavior, and stress-induced Martin-Stitt transformations occur at this plateau level. As you can see, in the superelasticity, stressing and releasing paths are different, and this hysteresis lobes refers to the energy dissipation. This is another stress-strain characteristics between MF and AS temperatures. As you can see, this stress-strain profile exhibits different characteristics beyond shape memory effect and superelasticity. This is the schematic of shape memory effect and superelasticity. In the shape memory effect, materials are stress deformed in the low temperature condition. This is plastic deformation, and material keeps the deformed shape after releasing. On heating, material record the original shape, and shape of the material cycle between deformed and original shapes on cooling and heating in reversible way. In the superelasticity, materials are stressed in elasticity limit in the parent phase region, and upon releasing, record the original shape by exhibiting elastic material behavior. Shape memory behavior is evaluated by the microstructural change in atomic scale or angstrom level caused by the internal stresses, and shape change occur in the bulk level. Thermal induced martensitic transformation occurs in thermal manner on cooling from high temperature parent phase region, and it is characterized by the changes in the crystal structure of material. This transformation is lattice distorting fast transition and occurs as twin martensite with the cooperative movement of atoms over very short distances on the order of angstrom by means of shear lag mechanism. After that, twin martensitic structures turn into the twin martensitic structures by means of stress-induced martensitic transformation by applying external stress. This is a schematic of shape memory cycle in the shape memory alloys. Let me inform you that shape memory effect and superelasticity is observed in the parent phase region of material, and ordered parent phase structure is essential for the quality of shape memory behavior. First step is cooling. On cooling, ordered parent phase structures turn into the twin martensitic structures by means of thermal induced martensitic transformation. After that, with the deformation in the low temperature condition, twin martensitic structure turn into the twin martensitic structures by means of stress-induced martensitic transformation. After that, on heating, the twin structures turn into the ordered parent phase structures, and crystal structure of materials cycle between twin and ordered parent phase structures on cooling and heating. Let me inform you that twin martensitic structures occurs stressing in the low temperature condition at the first step, and at this cycle, this heating and cooling cycle, the twin martensitic structures occur thermally on cooling instead of deformation. This is the schematic of superelasticity. In the superelasticity, materials are stressed in elasticity limit in the parent phase region, and ordered parent phase structure turn into the twin martensitic structure by means of stress-induced martensitic transformation. After that, upon releasing, the twin structures of material turn into the ordered parent phase structures. Let me inform you that this cycle is mechanically for the superelasticity. Also, this cycle is thermally for the shape memory effect. This is the three-dimensional illustration of shape memory mechanism. On cooling, ordered parent phase structure turn into the twin martensitic structures by means of thermal induced Martensite transformation. And by the deformation, twin structures turn into the dativate Martensite structures, and on heating, the twin structures turn into the ordered parent phase structures, and crystal structure of material cycle between dativate Martensite structures and ordered parent phase structures thermally on cooling and heating. Superelasticity is also linked with stress-induced Martensite transformation, which is induced by applying only mechanical stress. And with this stress, parent alternate phase structures turn into the completely dativate Martensite structures, as in the deformation step of the Chapman-Montgomery effect, and dativate Martensite structures turn into the parent phase structure upon releasing the stress. And crystal structure of material cycles between parent phase structures and dativate Martensite structures on stressing and releasing. It is important that stress-strain curve exhibit nonlinear behavior, and stressing and releasing paths are different, and hysteresis refers to the energy dissipation. This is the stress-strain characters of for the superelasticity. As you can see, stressing and releasing paths are important. Also, stressing and releasing curve, nonlinear behavior, stressing and releasing paths are different, and this hysteresis loss refers to the energy dissipation. It means that even if stressing is very quick, or deformation is very quick, releasing is very slow, and with these characteristics of Chapman-Montgomery alloys, these alloys used in the building industry against earthquake or seismic effect. Martensite transformations occurs basically in two basic steps. These are Bain distortion and lattice invariance in the beta phase region of the materials. These are the basic beta phase structure of material. This is the elementary body-centered cubic structure. Second figure represents the cesium chloride type order structure. Third figure represents the DO3 type crystal structure or half unit cell, and last figure represents the L21 type crystal structure or half unit cell. Bain distortion is mainly effective in ternary coupled Chapman-Montgomery alloys and consists of an expansion of 26% in 001 time axis called Bain axis, and a compression of 11% in the 100 type direction perpendicular to the Bain axis. There are three Bain axes. These are cube axis 100, 010, and 001, and BCC based unit cells turn into the body-centered tetragonal structures as three variants at the different orientations. Lattice invariants occur as Martensite variants on one monotype planes of alternate matrix, which is basal plane of Martensite. Also, denses occur into opposite direction, one monotype direction on the one monotype planes of the parent phase. One or planes family represents 6 certain planes, and totally 24 Martensite variants occurs. These planes are 110, minus 110, 101, minus 101, 011, and 01 minus 1. Lattice invariance and lattice twinning is not uniform in coupled Chapman-Montgomery alloys, and dashes cause the formation of layer structures on the one monotype planes of parent phase. The basal plane turned into the unusual layer structures which complicated array of closed packet plane with complicated stacking sequences called as 3R, 9R, or 18R Martin size, depending on the stacking sequences on the closed packet planes of the ordered lattice. The periodicity and therefore the unit cell is completed through 18 layer in direction Z in case of 18R Martenslic structures. This is the formation of layer structures with lattice invariant. This first figure represents the stacking of one monotype planes of alternative matrix, and with the lattice invariant shell with these planes, lattice invariant shells turn into the layer structures with the stackings A, B, C, B, C, A, C, A, B, and CAB and A4 18R Martenslic structures. This is also another illustration of the layered formation in deuterate type superlattice for deuterate type parent phase structures and 18R Martenslic structures. These are the basic terms and definitions related to the shape memory, effect, and superelasticity. As you can see, experimental studies were performed to copper-based shape memory alloys. These are copper zinc aluminum and copper aluminum mangan alloys. As you can see the alloy compositions, and these compositions were selected in the parent phase region of the material. As you can see, Martenslic start and finish temperatures are over the room temperature for both of the alloy samples, and both of the alloys are completely in Martenslic state at the room temperatures. Specimens obtained from these alloys were solution treated for homogenization in the beta phase field as following, and then quenched in ice grained and aged at the room temperatures. These temperatures are 830 and 700 degrees for copper zinc aluminum and copper aluminum mangan alloys, and these temperatures were selected in the beta phase region of the material. Powder specimens for X-ray examination were prepared by filling the alloy samples, and the powder specimens were sealed in evacuated quartz tubes and giving the beta phase homogenization treatments in order to release the strain effect and other effects. These temperatures are also the same, and homogenization time were selected for 15 minutes. Powder diffractorams were obtained for all the specimens at the different stage of aging in a long time interval. This is an X-ray diffractoram taken from copper zinc aluminum alloy sample after a long-term aging at room temperature about 15 years after quenching. As you can see, peak intensities and peak characteristics are different, and this diffractoram exhibits superlattice reflection. Let me inform you that these plane pairs are important for the ternary coupled-based shape memory alloys. These are 122, 202, 128, 208, 110, 2010, and others. This is also another X-ray diffractoram taken copper aluminum alloy, aluminum mangan alloy samples after long-term aging at room temperature for about 15 years after quenching. As you can see, this diffractoram also exhibits the same characteristic with these plane pairs. A series of X-ray diffractorams have been taken from both of the alloy samples in a long time interval, and some changes have been observed in the diffraction angles, peak intensities, peak location, and peak characteristic with aging duration. In particular, some of the successive peak space shift toward each other with duration, and these peaks provide the following relation between Miller indices for 18R martensitic structures in the ternary coupled ve Chapman ağırlığı. This plane pace, as I mentioned on the diffractorams, can be listed as follows for 18R structures 122, 202, 128, 208, 1, 1, 1, yeah, 128, 208, 110, 2010, 040, 320, and others. At the long-term investigation, it is observed that these peaks pairs come close each other with aging duration, and this change reveals the changes in the crystal structure of material. Also, this change refers to the rearrangement of atoms in disordered manner in the material. The basal plane of martensite is subjected to the hexagonal deviation with martensitic formation on which atom size have important effect. In case the atoms occupying lattice size have the same size, the basal plane of martensite becomes regular hexagon. Otherwise, the deviations occur from the hexagonal arrangement of atoms in case of atom size are different. In the disordered case, all of the lattice sites are occupied randomly, and atomic sizes can be taken approximately equal each other. In the ordered case, lattice sites are occupied regularly by certain atoms which have different atomic sizes, and basal plane deviates from the regular hexagonal arrangement of atoms due to the atom size differences. This is the basal plane of martensite in the parent phase region, and this rectangular shape of the basal plane turned into the hexagonal shape by means of martensitic transformation. As I mentioned, in the disordered case, we don't know which atom occupies with lattice sites, and we can take atomic sizes approximately equal each other, and hexagon becomes regular hexagon. In the ordered case, atomic distribution is regular and neighbor atom sizes are different, and deviations occur from the regular hexagonal arrangement due to the atom size differences. Second experimental studies were performed on electron microscope, transmission and scanning electron microscopes, and by taking electron diffraction pattern and image of the surface and interface of the material. As you can see, electron diffraction patterns also exhibit superlattice reflection in both of the alloy samples. Conclusion: Chapman effect is evaluated by the structural change in microscale by means of martensitic transformation. The fundamental structures of the beta-type martensites are orthorhombic closed packet structures which consist of an array of closed packet planes on coupled ve Chapman alloys. The beta-type martensites have the layered structures and are characterized by the stacking sequences depending on the order in the parent phase region. Coupled ve ternary alloys have the diotherite superlattice in the parent Austin phase region, and following stacking sequence occur with the martensitic transformation. The sequences are AB, CB, CA, CA, BA, BC, BC, AC, and AB for 18R martensitic stresses in the ternary copulation of alders. On the basis of arsenic martensite relation, the basal plane of 9R or 18R martensite originates from monotype planes of the parenthesis on which lattice invariances occur into opposite direction during the martensitic transformation. These are the references. And thank you very much for your attention. If anybody has a question, I try to answer.
Thank you, Dr. Osman, for your valuable presentation. Is anyone having any questions?
I think there is no questions.
Yes, I think there is no questions. Once again, thank you for your presence and presentation.
Thanks again to you to listen my presentation.
Thank you.
You are welcome.
So moving on to our next presentation by Dr. Atharur Rahman. I hope he is not connected yet due to some technical issues. So I would like to call upon Dr. Bashir Jarar from Jersha University, Jordan. Hello, Dr. Bashir. Are you ready with your presentation?
Hello everyone. Yes, yes, I do. I am ready for the presentation. Can you make me the presenter?
Yes, now I'm making you the presenter. Just
Okay.
a second.
Yeah. Do you see the screen? My screen?
Please click on the screen button to share your screen.
Yes. But, okay.
Yes, we can able to see your screen. So make it as a full screen.
Full screen, huh?
Yes, just click on the slideshow button on the top of the toolbar.
Yes. I don't find the.
On the top of the toolbar, there is a slideshow button.
The top of the tools, yes. The top of the tools, yes.
Yes.
So just you can press that F5 button.
Pardon?
Just you can press the F5 button in your keyboard.
Okay. Please, can you do it from your side?
Yes, we can able to see your screen.
Yeah. But shall I go this way? I don't find the knob to change the right side of the screen.
Just click on the slideshow button on top of the toolbar. Okay.
Okay, just a moment, please. Huh?
Okay, okay.
I have paper now. Okay, now
Yes.
Is it clear now? Okay, thank you.
Yes.
I'm sorry for this delay. Well, this is Bashir Jarar from Jerash University in Jordan. I am a professor of histocytotechnology. I am using this technique, the histocytotechnology, to study the toxicity of drugs, pollutants, and nanoparticles. My research field in the last 10 years is concentrating on the toxicity of the nanoparticles. I have done some work on the gold and the silver nanoparticles, carbon dioxide nanoparticles, zinc oxide nanoparticles, and others, in fact. Today, my oral presentation, I'm dealing with the gold nanoparticles, with the title on the toxicity of gold nanoparticles, histological, histochemical, and structural study. Why gold nanoparticles? What's the rationale of doing this research on the gold nanoparticles? In fact, gold nanoparticles are investing in diagnostic and therapeutic applications together with operative industrial purposes and in many biomedical sectors. With the potential is there for the risk of the human, especially the human health, and to a lesser extent in the ecosystem. Gold nanoparticles are used in medicine, mainly in the imaging and the drug delivery. In addition to that, they are used in the biomedicines, such as they are used in the manufacturing of sensors. Moreover, they are used in the therapeutic applications. For example, they are used for the treatment of the brain tumors and prostate tumors. The reason after this, because the gold nanoparticles, the smaller one, between up to 60 nanometers, they can cross the barrier between the blood and the blood and the brain. And the DNA and the macromolecules of the prostate and the brain. Also, gold nanoparticles are used in industry, especially in the fluorescent dye. So, gold nanoparticles are used widely for labeling, also for labeling certain proteins such as hemoglobin, certain diseases or certain investigations. Also, they are using to label certain part of the DNA, RNA, and the antibodies and some enzymes. Moreover, they are using widely now as in a drug delivery, as well as in the manufacturing of fluorescent dyes. So the rationale after this research, that why the people in the field of the nanotechnology are so busy in fabrication and marketing of nanoparticles, including gold nanoparticles, little is being paid to the toxicity of these nanomaterials. So the objective of my work is to identify the effect of these nanoparticles. I mean the gold nanoparticles on the kidney, the liver, the heart, and the lungs, the main vital organs of the body, using the techniques, the histological techniques, histochemical one, and ultra-structural alterations by using the electron microscope. So I am after to find the renal, hepatic, cardiac, and pulmonary alterations that might be induced and might be induced as a result of exposure or subjections to gold nanoparticles. The experimental protocols I'm using. I use the adult healthy male Western albino rats as an experimental animals in this project. In addition to that, I purchased the gold nanoparticles from Sigma Company addressed to the USA. I'm using the dose, and this dose is after study. Several people they use this dose in their studies, and I used it in other studies also, considering the toxicity of gold nanoparticles. The dose is 2 milligram per kilogram body weight. I injected my animals 20 injections. And the route of injections was intraperitoneal. However, the techniques I used, it's the surgical one. It is after injections the animals, after the animals were exposed to gold nanoparticles, I took the biopsies, small parts of the tissues from the vital organs under study: the liver, kidneys, lung, heart, and brain. Now these small biopsies, these are small tissue blocks. They were treated by fixatives, especially by the NABF neutral buffer formalin of 10%. This is for fixation, to keep the structure and the chemical continuance of the tissue without being changed by the foreign processing. By then, the tissues were dehydrated by using increasing concentration of ethanol, 70%, 80%, 90%, 95%, and by then by 2 changes of absolute ethanol. This is to remove water from the tissues. After that, the tissues, they were transferred to chloroform for the purpose of clearing. Moreover, after that, they were impregnated and embedded in melted paraffin wax. After that, we did in my lab, we did prepare sections, paraffin sections with a thickness of 4 to 5 micrometers, and they were subjected to hematoxin. And you see, this is a routine step for the histopathology or the histology laboratories. In addition to that, other sections, they were applied for the histochemical stains to find the change or the alterations in certain chemicals in the tissues, especially the BAS. This is butyric acid stain reaction. This is to find if there is any change in the glycogen content of the hepatocytes, the liver cell. The other one, the iron stain, to find if there is a precipitation of iron in the vital organs as a result to exposure by gold nanoparticles. Moreover, we use methyl green bioline. This is to find if there is any change in the DNA and RNA, and in addition to that, we stain some slide by trichrome to find if there is a change toward fibrosis in in the tissues of some organs. Now, concerning the results in the liver, the hepatic alterations that were demonstrated by the animals that they were treated with gold nanoparticles included the following: hydrophobic degeneration, hepatocytes necrosis. Necrosis is the death of the non-programmed cell death. Chromatin materials clumping. Usually the chromosomes, the chromatin material in the nuclei of the cells, including the hepatocytes, that are distributed in certain pattern for the proper functions. We found that gold nanoparticles caused clumping of the chromatin materials. Moreover, we found that these nanoparticles they induced Cooper cells hypertrophy and hyperplasia. They increased in number and they increased in size. Cooper cells are defense cells. They engulf, they phagocyte the foreign materials that enter the body. In addition to that, we found that the three diamonds, they demonstrated sinusoidal dilatation. Sinusoidal dilatation, these are special blood tubes in the liver. In addition to that, the three animals, they demonstrated degeneration in their hepatocytes. When the cells are degenerated, they will lose their function partially or totally. So this is the control liver of the rats that didn't receive gold nanoparticles, but they were injected by the vehicle of the nanomaterial. Here, these are the hepatocytes. They are very well intact, normal, and between these are the Cooper cells. Here we have the liver strands with the central vein. Life is good here. Everything is normal with good structures. The same thing here. The cells here. This is different stain. This is totally blue. We use it for the sections that are prepared by for the transmission electron microscope for the electron microscopy. Also, the liver of the treated animals demonstrated the hydrophobic degenerations. As you see here, in these focalized part of the tissue, or this one, this is not an empty place. This was filled with the organelles, with the different components of the tissue. But as a result of the entrance of water, as a result of the imbalance of water inside of the hepatic cells, now the cells they entered there, and by then the organelles were lysed, and when the cell without organelles means that no function is there. It's completely damaged. Also, some cells of in the liver of treated animals, they showed necrosis. For example, this cell with necrosis, this one, not this one. Necrosis is a non-programmed death cell. There's another type of the cell, which is the apoptosis. That one, it is the programmed this cell. The body use this one just to replace the damaged cells. Here we have chromatin material clumping. Here, this is one hepatocyte, and this is hepatocyte. Here, this is the nucleus. As you see here, there is a clumping of nuclear materials in the nuclei of some hepatocytes, and so this is abnormal, and this will affect the function of the nucleus, the function of the DNA. As you know, the DNA is the master of the cell. It directs everything in the cell concerning the cell functions. Also, we observed that there was an increase in Kupffer cells. Kupffer cells, these are small ones. Kupffer cells, and they were enlarged in size. This is hepatic strands, and this is the central vein. Where the blood with the nanomaterials, but by then distributed to between the strands. And these Kupffer cells, they are used in such a case for defense, to engulf the foreign materials, including the gold nanoparticles in this case. Here, as you see, these are the blood capillaries and the liver. This is one strand. Here, as a result of exposure to gold nanoparticles, we have dilatation. We have sinusoidal dilatation, and this will also affect the function of the liver. And by the way, you know, the liver, we concentrated the liver because the liver is the site of detoxification. The liver, it has at least 100 functions, and with these changes, the functions will be affected. Moreover, here, also in the liver, these are the hepatocytes. Here you have degeneration. Degenerations means injury, damage in the cytoplasm and in the nuclei of the cells in the hepatocytes in such a case. Also, as you know, that the liver is one of the functions of the liver is to store glycogen. Glycogen, it is our ATP storage. So here in this slide, we see that in some cells they lost their content of glycogen. So we have partial depletion of glycogen as a result of subjections to gold nano particles going inside the organelles of one hepatocytes. This is a normal hepatocytes from the control animals. As you see, this is the nucleus. Look, the nuclear envelope. It is very soft, fine one, and the mitochondria here. The mitochondria. This is the shape of the normal mitochondria with a crest inside. And you know the mitochondria. It is the site of cellular respiration. It is the place where the cells they produce ATP, and this ATP is used for the different types of metabolism and actions in the cells. So this is the picture of the normal hepatocytes. And the hepatocytes of treated animals, you see that here we have a swelling of the mitochondria, and we have breaking down. we have damage of the crystal. The crystal is where the cell respiration is, where the conversion of glucose into ATP by different stages. So here it's clear that gold nanoparticles, they can induce the damage of the mitochondria, which is the house of energy, and by breaking down the crystal and by swelling, and of course by then impairing the cellular respiration, the production of energy. In addition to that, this is inside one cell. This is an electron microscope by transmission electron microscope image. Here in the nucleus, you have clumping of chromatin materials, and these are the damaged mitochondria. They are swollen, and they lost their they are extracted also, and they lost their crystal. By then I move to the second organ, the kidney. The following renal arteries were found in the kidney of the animals that they were treated with gold nanoparticles. We detected the glomerular congestion, renal glomerular congestion. This is a part of the function unit of the kidney, which is responsible for the filtration of blood to excrete the waste product. And in each kidney, we have more than 1 million glomeruli. So these are the sites for the filtration of blood, and to form the urine. In addition, we found that the nanomaterials, they caused renal capillary dilatation, and the inflammatory cells inflammation, and necrosis. And the liver, there was necrosis. The sites here, necrosis in the renal cells. The renal cells, those cells that they line the renal tubules, where the reabsorption of materials are occurred. If they are necrosed, by then they will lose their function. They can't reabsorb the necessary materials. Moreover, we found that there is anhydropic degeneration, the entrance of water to the renal cells, and also the treated animals, they demonstrated hyaline cast formation in the renal tubules. These are a protein receptive. They indicate for renal failure. And in the normal state, there is no proteins in the urine, and there is no protein precipitation in the renal tubules. Here we observed and we detected that hyaline casts, which are protein precipitate, were seen in the lumen of the renal tubules. In addition to that, we have renal congestion. So this is here, this image or this figure. It is about from a kidney of control rat. You see the tubules. They are very good. They are normal and everything. And even the interstitial tissue between these tubules are normal. While in the kidney of the treated animals, the glomeruli, this is one glomerulus, the glomeruli, they became congested, and also the renal tubules next to the glomeruli, they were injured. They have a damage, such here. This is hydropic degenerations, and here the congestion. These blood cells. We have plenty of cells, and are seen in the cross sections of this capillary tuft, the glomerulus. Moreover, we could find that the gold nanoparticles can induce renal capillary dilatation. Here, you see dilatation. Usually, we see 1 or 2 red blood cells. These are they are stained by blue, but these are red blood cells. Usually, we see not plenty like this, more than 10 up to 20 cells. Usually, we see 1 or 2 cells in the normal case, but the gold nanoparticles, they induce the dilatations blood capillaries in the kidney of the treated animals. In addition to that, here the gold nanoparticles, they induced hydrodeoxygenations. You see, these are insulted. These are damaged cells. You see, they are clear because they lost the continents, the organelles that they do that they are performing the functions of the kidney. For example, this is not damaged. While this one is damaged, this one is damaged. So here we have hydrodeoxygenation as a result of the imbalance of water and the entrance of water to the renal cells. This is the hyaline cast. This is the renal tubule. All this here. This is the hyaline cast, recepted. This is one. This one. This one. This one. So hyaline cast was seen in the lumen of the renal tubules, and this is an indication of renal failure. This is the necrosis. You will see these are the normal cells, while these are the necrotic cells. Necrotic cells means that they lose the nucleus and the contents of the cytoplasm. This is a non-programmed death cell. Moreover, gold nanoparticles, they also induce inflammatory cell infiltration in the tissue of the kidney of the treated animals. Here, these are the small ones. These are inflammatory cells. They are mainly lymphocytes. Also, we did prepared sections by transmission spectroscope for the control and the treated animals to find the effect inside the cell itself. This is the cell of a control animal. You see the mitochondria here. Yeah, the mitochondria, it is fine one. This is the usual shape of it, and this is the nucleus. You see the nucleus is soft one. We have no clumping of chromatin. While this one here, you see the mitochondria is damaged, is extracted. The cristae are broken, and moreover, here you see the basement membrane of the cell, which is very important for the reabsorption. It became so thickened in comparison with this one. Here it's clear from this part and what we saw in the liver, that the target for gold nanoparticles inside the cell is the mitochondria in both the liver and the kidney. So the mitochondria is the target for these nano materials. Now the third vital organ is the heart. We detected the following alterations that were induced in the heart of the animals that they were treated by gold nanoparticles. We got cardiac congestions, cardiac muscle hyalinization. Hyalinization means distribution of the cardiac muscles, and you know that cardiac muscles are the only tissue in the body that work all lives, from the beginning of life in the uterus, from the beginning with the formation of the embryo up to the death. So once we have these muscles are hyalinized, which means that they will lose their functions gradually. We have also in this organ inflammation, we have hydrodegeneration, we have cardiac muscles or cardiomyocytes necrosis. We have the cardiomuscle disorganization and disarray also. In addition to cardiac muscle degeneration, let me show you some. These two images are sections in the heart of control animals. The muscle fibers, they are normal, and the interstitial cells are normal. You see the nuclei, everything is normal. And the normal tissue will perform a normal functions. And the function of the heart is just to pump the blood during the whole life. And this is an essential function for the body. In the treated animals, we found the following alterations, the following histopathology. Here we have dilatation of blood vessels, of the cardiac blood vessels, which means that the pump of the blood will be affected. And here the condition is seen in most of the blood capillaries that feed the wall of the heart itself. Here we have the hydrogenization, as you see. Here the dissolution of the shape and the structure of the cardiac muscle of ours. Even the striation is lost, and the nuclei are not more seen here. Here we have inflammatory cell infiltration. This is higher magnification. And mainly these are lymphocytes. We have hydrodegeneration at these spaces as a result of the water entrance, as a result of imbalance of water inside and outside the cardiac muscle fibers. Here we have necrosis. You see these are cross sections of the cardiac muscles of one treated rat. Here you see the cytoplasm also. It lost its shape, its structure. Here we have this organization, especially as this here. We have this organization of the muscle fibers, and here we have this array. This array, as you see, these are the muscle fibers. Now this is we call it the myocardial this array. This is not normal, of course, and this will affect the function of the heart. One more thing about the heart is the degeneration of the cardiomyocyte. You see, this is they are necrotic. They are necrotics as a result of exposure to gold nano particles. But then I move to the last organ, which is the lung. In the lung of the treated rats, we found the following alterations. We found pulmonary congestion, and we have emphysema. Emphysema means that the alveolar sac become narrow and smaller in size. By then, this will restrict the gas exchange, the oxygen and carbon dioxide exchange in the lungs, and will affect respiration. We have pulmonary edema. Edema means the entrance of water, the accumulation of water in the cells, and of course everywhere in the body. If this happens, this will affect the function of the organs. We have also pulmonary inflammatory cell infiltration, and we have pulmonary fibrosis. Fibrosis, the cell of the lungs that they perform the functions of respiration, taking the oxygen and letting carbon dioxide to go out. They became fibrized, by then it means that they lost their job for the gas exchange. And also we noticed that in the in the lung of the treated rats, there was an alveolar wall thickening. I'll show you on the side to be more clear. So here we have congestion. You see, these are blood capillaries. It's highly congested, this lung, and this will impair partially or totally the exchange of gases. Here we have emphysema. Usually, you see some of the alveolar sac, they become small in size. This one normal, while this one are as a result of the increasing the wall and the thickness of the wall of the alveolar sac, they become narrow, and by then this will restrict the exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide. Here, this is the edema. This is this is this place and this place and this place. Edema means the entrance of water inside the tissue, and by then it will damage the tissue itself. Here we have an inflammation, large number of lymphocytes. As the lymphocytes are here, there are inflammatory cells, and they shouldn't be in this place. Here we have the fibrosis in certain parts of the lung of the animals that they were treated with the nanomaterials. Here we have the wall thickening. In the control animal, this is the thickening. It's one cell layer. This one. This is normal. This is normal. While you see it become 10 times or 20 times thicker than the normal one. This will prevent the exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide, and will affect the process of respiration as a whole. Now, by then, I'll come to the conclusion from this study. One may conclude from the findings that we're seeing that gold nanoparticles are toxic nanomaterials. In addition, these nanomaterials they can induce renal, hepatic, and pulmonary and cardiac alterations. By then they will affect the functions of these vital organs: the kidney, the liver, the lung, and the heart. For the interpretation, after the effect of these nanoparticles and the different tissues of the vital organs, the findings suggest that gold nanoparticles they induce oxidative stress on the vital organs due to the overproductions of the reactive oxygen species, the ROS. ROS, these are the tools for the damage of the cells, and we usually we use antioxidant to counteract the action of the reactive oxygen species. More work is needed to figure out the pathogenicity of gold nanoparticles, and thank you so much.
Thanks very much, Dr. Bashir, for the valuable presentation, and congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Bashir Jalal, for your presence and presentation. Is anyone having any queries?
Okay. Thank you.
So I hope no queries. Once again, thank you.
Okay, you are most welcome. Okay.
So moving to on our next presentation by Dr. Songwoo from Ethiopian Technical University from Ethiopia. Hello, Dr. Songwoo. Are you ready with your presentation?
I'm ready.
Now I'm going to make you the presenter. Yes, please click on the screen button to share your screen.
Yeah. Did you see the slide?
Did you click on the screen button?
Yeah. Did you see the slide?
No, no, doctor. We can't able to see your screen.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, it is visible now.
Yeah. That's it.
Okay.
Get the.
Please make it as a full screen.
Yeah. This is the full screen?
Yes. Please continue with your talk.
Yeah.
Sorry, doctor. We can't able to see the full screen.
You can see the full screen?
No, we can't able to see the full screen. It will visible half of the screen.
Half full screen. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, it's perfect. Sorry. No. It's still half the screen.
Yes. How about that? How about that?
Sorry, doctor, it is not full screen.
How about that?
Okay, yes, perfect. Please continue with your talk.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for listening to my presentation. My name is Dr. Wu. Today, I briefly introduce you the derived methodology, and this methodology improved the design of the mechanical system, and I will give you the tools of study. This is automobile. Automobile consists of the engine and transmission and drive and electric system, and the total components are 20,000 pieces. To improve the performance and reduce cost, and the product will be designed yearly. By live testing, and the engineer could refine design flow and the module. This is another product of the mechanical system airplane. Airplane is consists of the machine system and door and the aviation control, etc. Total components are 200,000 pieces. Life target is between 10 years. This is another mechanical product is a refrigerator. Refrigerator consists of the cabinet, door, internal fixed, and general part. And then the total component 2,000 pieces. Life target is between 10 years. This is a definition of the reliability. Reliability can define as ability item to the perform the required function under the state and the environment operation condition for the specific period of time. Most of the mechanicals, the system reliability can describe in the best term. And if I follow the best terms, the product will be rejected from the marketplace because of the initial failure rate and the higher failure rate and the short lifetime. Because of that, and the company set up the reliable growth plan. As the design of the design is improved, and the best term is changed from the best term and to straight line. Finally, and the product reliability can be achieved without design failure. This is a sinking picture of the RM's Titanic, and in the 1912, it came from the cold weather, brittle steel for the temperature. The starboard side of the Titanic struck an iceberg. Finally, and the RS of Titanic, and they had 2,000 people on board. It takes 2 hours, 40 minutes to sink and drown to death, and more than 1,500 people. This is a disaster of the challenge, and it came from the rocket booster was sealed with 2 lava. Brittle lava is the brittle O-ring is under the cold weather. This miracle occurred in 1986. All crew members lost their lives. Sadly, and most of the American people suffered self-esteem and because of this failure. This is a Calypso point of present of the bridge in 1967. It came from the metal fatigues and the critical barge due to the random traffic load. On the December 15 and 1967, and the Silver Bridge collapsed under the weight of the rush hour traffic, resulting in the death of the 46 people. This is a crash of the Dehail and the Comet. This is a poster to the commercial jet airline. It came from the structural failure resulting from the metal fatigue in the airplane. The problems will be starting and emerging and the suffering and the catastrophe in flight breaking and years entering and air service. With the 3 Comet lost with the 12 months in highly publicized and accident. This is the failure mechanism and the product is the design. This is a structure, and the structure is the subject to the repetitive stress. There are some design fault in structure. The structure will be collapsed in its anticipated lifetime. The issue, how to find the design flow in the layer of probability. The solution is live testing under the Excel live testing. This is a solid state of the diffusion of impurity in silicon, and it takes place in the electro-induced voiding, build up chloride ion and traffic and the electric and the hole. Most of the junction function is described as but if I take some electric field, the junction function will be distorted, and the barrier will be getting low. Finally, and the junction function will be described as a B sine hyperbolic and exponential. This is a junction function of the silicon, and if I take inverse, we can find the general stress model. The issue how to simplify and the sine hyperbolics, and the sine hyperbolics static and the linear, empower stress and exponential. Most of the testing will carry out in the medium stress range, and the time to failure is simplify and the empower stress exponential. Finally, and we can obtain Excel effect as the ratio of the stress and the temperature difference. This is the power of the multi-photo system. Power can be defined as a product effort and the flow. For example, for triangulator system, effort is a force and the flow is a velocity. In this case, the stress is the camber of the effort. And finally, we can simplify Excel effect is the ratio of the effort and the temperature. I will explain how to derive of the sample size equation. And if a product follow the Weibull distribution, the life function is defined as a function of the shape parameter and the characteristic life. If I take logarithm, we can find the BX lives. The issue how to simplify and the characteristic life. And characteristic life is came from the testing data. Finally, we can express the BX life is a function of the chi-square and the logarithm function and the testing data. To get the sample size equation from the approximate the BX life, there are two approximations. One is the chi-square approximation, another is a logarithmic approximation. Computer level is 60%, R is less than 4. Chi-square function is approaching and R plus 1, and logarithmic function is approaching and the X. If I rearranging, and we can find the sample size equation. And as a case of study, and for my derived methodology, I give you the redesigned the compressor with the crankshaft. This is the refrigerator. This is a newly design of the crankshaft. There are a lot of design faults in compressor. We don't know which faults. Compressor lifetime is dependent on the pneumatic fault. To find them, it requires reliable methodology. This is a parameter design schematic, and the compressor is designed to the increased pressure from and the low and the higher. We don't know how to use and the customer usage condition and the environment condition, and then we should know about the design and each part optimally. The derived methodology consists of 3 parts, and the failure analysis of the term product, parameter art and the design modification. Finally, and checking and the product achieve the lifetime target. This is a vapor compression. This is a compressor is in vapor compression cycle. This is a vapor compression cycle. It consists of the compress and the condenser and the coupling tube and the evaporator. This is a schematic diagram of the compressor. Compressor is the working and the crankers slide crank mechanism. This is a damaged product in field. This is compressor. This is the damaged product. We found due to the lubrication problem in field. It came from the improper design of structure. To modify and we reproduce and by parameter out and collect them. This is a load analysis paper, the Excel live testing. This is the vapor compression cycle, and this is a test diagram. From the conservation of the mass in the complete tube, energy balance of the condenser and the evaporator, we can determine and the mass flow rate, temperature of the evaporator and the condenser. Finally, and we can find the time to failure and the pressure difference and the temperature. I will explain how to calculate the accelerator factor. Accelerator factor is depend on the ratio of the pressure difference and the temperature difference. For pressure, the worst of pressure difference is 1.1. For accelerator testing, and we increase the pressure is 2.0. We assuming and the lambda is 2, and we calculate the accelerator factor is 3.4. For temperature, the worst of the temperature is 90 Celsius. For accelerator testing, 120, and the accelerator factor 1.5. Totally is the 4.6. We are flying in the duty cycle. We can search out design failure. This is how to calculate the mission cycle. Life target of the domestic compressor is beyond life 10 years. Accelerator factor is 4.6. Total sample size of domestic compressor is 100. Compressor life target for 10 years, almost 87,000 cycle. There is no problem with 90,000 cycle. We can guarantee, and the compressor life target is beyond life 10 years. This is a equipment used for the accelerator testing. This is a test jig. This is a schematic diagram, and we can proceed the parameter with the equipment. This is the result of the first parameter art. Compressor locked and due to the lubrication, 7 and 10,000 cycle. This is the field photo. This is the result of the first parameter art. Both photo is very similar. By parameter art, we can reproduce the compressor failure in field. We check at the design of the compressor. We found these three the main design problem. One is the no lubrication area, and another one the low starting RPM, and also to the crankshaft material. To redesign of the crankshaft, we modify and the crankshaft, changing and some dimension, adding in the new groove. Also, we modify and the material from the FCD 450 to the FCD 50 By parameter, we can collect and the compressor failure. This is another result of the second art. Crankshaft wheel is found in 19,000 cycle. It can put an interference between the crankshaft and the slushy washer due to narrow cycle. This is older design. This is new design. We modify and the clearance between the crankshaft and the washer. By parameter art, we can modify and design port of the compressor. And this is a summary of the parameter result. And there is no problem and in compressor in 19,000 cycle. In first parameter, we found in the somewhere because of the lubrication problem. And then the changing and the design. In second art, we also found in the somewhere problem. It came from the interference and between and the crankshaft, the shaft and the washer. We changing and the clearance between and the washer and the crankshaft. In third art, there is no problem and the 19 and the 20,000 cycle. Compressor achieved the life target beyond life 10 years. This is another case of study, and this is the refrigerator, and this is a newly designed of the hinge kit system. It's a lot of fat and cover, damp, and spring and the housing. There are a lot of design port hinge kit system. We don't know which importance. Hinge kit housing depend on the design flow of the fat. To find them, we require a reliable methodology. This is a parameter design schematic. Hinge kit system is the closed door and it's smoothly. We don't know how to use and the custom use condition and the environment condition. And the engineer should be each part optimally. Reliable methodology consists of 3 parts and failure analysis return product, parameter art design and modification, Finally, checking the life target achieved. This is a damaged product in field. There are a lot of the cracks on the hinge kit housing. It came from the fragile structure. By reproducing and the filament alter, we can collect them. This is a load analysis for the XLI testing. This hinge kit system depends on the door weight. To increase the impact, we adding and some additional weight on the end of the door weight. By controlling and the impact, we can carry out the accelerated testing. This is how to calculate accelerated factor. Accelerated factor is dependent on the ratio of the force. For most of occasion, the impact is 1.1. For accelerated testing, we increase the impact and 2.8. We supposing lambda 2, we can calculate accelerated factor 6.3. By applying the duty cycle, we can search out the design failure. This is how to calculate the mission cycle. Life target of the hinge kit system is beyond life 10 years. Accelerated factor is almost 6.3. Total sample size of the hinge kit system is 6. Hinge kit life target is for 10 years, almost 36,000 cycle. There is no problem, 41,000 cycle. We can guarantee the life target is the hinge kit system is beyond like 10 years. This is equipment used for the XLI testing. This is a test figure. This is a controller. By we can proceed the filament art with the equipment. This is the result of the first filament art and hinge kit housing of the hinge kit system collect and 350,000 cycle. This is the photo of the field. This is the result of the first filament art. Both photo is very similar. And by parameter art, we can reproduce the design flow of the hinge kit system. To reinforce the fragile structure hinge kit housing system, we adding in some rounding in the outside. And we also adding in the rounding in the inside. We also give you some reinforced leaf and on housing and some decks. This is another result of the first parameter art. We found in the leaked oil damp. It came from the parametric ceiling structure. This is old design. This is new design. And by parameter art, and we introduce design port of the oil damp. This is the result of the second parameter art. Housing cover of the hinge kit system collect 7 and 9,000 cycle. It came from the material problem. When working in the hinge kit system, oil damper spot is a strike and the hinge cover. Finally, and the cover is a fracture. As an action plan, we modify the material from the plastic and the aluminum die casting. By parameter art, we can modify fragile housing and the cover and the hinge kit system. This is a summary of the parameter art result. There's no problem that the hinge kit system 41,000 cycle. In first parameter art, we found in the fracture of the housing, and we also found in the leakage of the oil damp, and which modify and the design. In second art, we also found in the fracture of the housing cover. We modify the material from the plastic and aluminum die casting. Inside art, there is no problem, and 41,000 cycle and 74,000 cycle. This is the conclusion. It's submit to the reliable engineering system safety, entitled as reliable design of the cases the study, and the domestic components are subject to the repetitive internal stress. This paper is explain of the design reliability methodology. This is another the result of my books entitled of the design and mechanical system based on the statistic. This the book is the explain on the experimental methodology. describe the new the parameter alter for the derived quantitative testing and specification. Is able to the mechanical and the civil engineer to find the design flaw and achieve target and the product reliability. It also suggests a variety of the case of study on the mechanical system. And the present of the Takuchi method and alternative is the experimental and the methodology. Thank you. Listen to my presentation. And do you have any question?
Thank you, Dr. Songwoo. It's a nice presentation. Is anyone having any questions? So I hope no questions. Once again, thank you, Doctor, for your presentation. Let's move on to our next session by Dr. Mariam Nejad Jakhori from Islamic Azad University from Iran. Hello, Dr. Mariam. Are you ready with your presentation?
Yes, I am ready for presentation.
Okay, now I'm making you the presenter. Just a second.
Yes,
please click on the screen button to share your screen.
But I should share my screen.
Yes, please click on the screen button. Yes, it is visible. So make it as a full screen, Doctor.
It is sharing.
Yes, we can able to see your screen, but make it as a full screen.
Yeah. Okay, it's okay.
Okay, yes, perfect. Yeah, please continue with your talk.
I am starting my presentation. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining to this webinar. I am Mariam, and my webinar is about hydrolysis of carbamate. First of all, I should explain about the structure of the carbamates and the role of the structure and the properties of the carbamates. As you can see in the scheme, the carbamates is an organic compound which contains an esters and amide functional groups, or we can say a carbamate is a derivative of a carbamic acid, which hydrogen atoms in the oxygen and nitrogen atoms could be changed with other groups such as aliphatic and aromatic groups, with replacing the hydrogen atoms on the nitrogen and oxygen atoms with other groups. Carbamates with different application could be synthesized. For example, in this slide, you can see carbamate with different application with replacing the hydrogen and the oxygen atoms obtained, and the application of the carbamate change to pesticides, and the structure of the carbamate has the important role in the application of this kind of compounds. For example, in this slide, you can see we changing the R to the methyl groups, we face to insecticide, and if we change the R with an aromatic compound, herbicide carbamate is produced. And also, if R is a benzimidazole, carbamate is fungicide. So the application of the carbamate is important. And in this slide, I want to explain the application of carbamate briefly. The carbamate are used in agriculture as insecticide, fungicide, herbicide, nematicide, or as a biocide for industry. Also, carbamate molecules play an important role in chemical and paint industry as a starting material, intermediate, and solvents. And also in modern drug discovery and medicinal chemistry, carbamates are structural elements of many approved therapeutic agents and also as a pharmaceutical tools. Structurally, the carbamate functionality is related to the amide ester hybrid feature, and in general, carbamates are widely utilized as a peptide bond surrogate in medicinal chemistry. This is due to their chemical stability and capability to permeate in cell membrane. Another unique feature of carbamate is their ability to modulate inter and intramolecular interaction with the target enzymes or receptors. And these are the application of carbamates in brief. The other important aspect of research in this field is hydrolysis of carbamates. Hydrolysis of carbamate proceeds by acidic, basic, or neutral process to give alcohol and amine and carbon dioxide, as you can see in this reaction. For hydrolysis of the carbamate, we should notice to its application. For example, for biological application, pH 7, and for other application, pH more than 7 is preferred for hydrolyzation. And I should state that most carbamate are hydrolyzed in basic solution because it's easier than acidic solution. And in this kind of reaction, or hydrolyzing reaction of carbamate proceed with two pathway or two mechanisms. The first mechanism is BAC2. This mechanism was proposed for secondary carbamates, or we can say for the aliphatic carbamates. And in this mechanism, the first step of the mechanism, and this step is the rate determining step of the reaction. And this mechanism is followed by the attack of hydroxide ion on the carboxyl group on the carbamate, and after that the tetrahedral intermediate will form, and after that the leaving group as a alkoxide leave the intermediate, and alcohol is formed. The other mechanism for this kind of reaction is E1CB, or this kind of mechanism is proposed for primary carbamates or aromatic carbamates. In these mechanisms, the carbamate should have an hydrogen on the nitrogen atoms, and at the first, the hydrogen should leave the molecule in the intermediate state, and this mechanism is followed by attack of the hydroxyl group after subtraction of proton from the carbamate, and formation of isocyanate ion and formation of the isocyanate ion is followed in these mechanisms. And as I told in the previous slide, these mechanisms is for aromatic carbamate, and the second step of the mechanism is the rate determining step of this mechanism, and the structure of the carbamate is very important for this kind of reaction, and rate constant of this kind of mechanism is more than the first one. And many factors are affecting the rate constant of hydrolysis of carbamate compound. For example, aliphatic and aromatic groups on the carbamate, presence of withdrawing electron groups or donor electron groups on aryl groups, and also mono or D-substituent group on the nitrogen groups are all factors that affect the rate of the hydrolyzation. As you can see in this table, with changing the group as R1, R2, and R3 in the carbamate, we can obtain different rate of reaction of hydrolyzation for carbamate at pH 7. And finally, the other aspect of research in this field is computational study on the mechanism of alkaline hydrolysis of the carbamate. But I should state that in this field, until now, there isn't more study in this field, and maybe about four or five paper was in this area, and it's worthy to investigate this kind of research computationally, and investigate the mechanism of the reaction computationally, and then compare with experimental data, and it's worthy to synthesize a new compound of carbamate with biological application, and continuing this kind of research. And finally, thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Dr. Mariam, for your presentation. Is anyone having any queries?
Thank you. If anyone has a question, I am ready to answer to question.
So I hope no questions. Once again, thank you for your valuable presentation.
Thank you. And I don't know how stop sharing my screen.
So moving to on your next presentation by Dr. P. Thanikkarwal from CSIR Central Lecture Research Institute from India. Hello, doctor. Hello, Dr. Thanikkarwal. Hello, Dr. Thanikkarwal. Doctor.
Yeah, is it audible?
Can you hear me? Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Are you ready with your presentation?
Yes. Can you allow me to share it?
Yes, just a second. I am going to make you the presenter. Please click on the screen button to share your screen. Yes, perfect. Please continue with your talk.
Yeah, thank you. It is my pleasure to be part of this online webinar on nanotechnology and nanomaterials. And I thank the organizers for inviting me to deliver this online talk. The topic for my talk today is the conversion of leather industry waste into advanced nanomaterials for energy and environmental applications. Uh, Yeah, just a quick brief about myself. I am a scientist working at the Central Leather Research Institute, Chennai, in India, and I'm a leather technologist and later specialized in materials. So I founded the Advanced Materials Laboratory and currently heading the division. So I had postdoctoral stints at US as a Fulbright Nehru fellow, and my specialization is on the development of new and advanced materials like nanomaterials, biomaterials, composites, specifically from the waste generated from the leather industry. And these are my the publication profile. And let me go into the details of my presentation. So basically, leather is a material of which is derived from animal skins. And if you look at scientifically, it is a skin protein is known as collagen. This is the skin structure where predominantly it is collagen fibers and fiber bundles. And along with that, you have variety of other proteins and matrix materials present in it. And the structure of collagen was resolved by Professor G.N. Ramachandran in the year 1954. And it is a very difficult structure to solve at that point of time, when only double helical structure of DNA known at that time. So this person has solved as a triple helical structure for the collagen. He is from India, from the same city. The structure has about 300 nanometer length and about 1.5 nanometer diameter, and there are 3 strands, and each of this molecule arranged in a linear and lateral arrangement to form a fibril and then fibers and fiber bundles, which makes into the kind of a animal skin in a randomly woven manner. So each of this bundle is made up of like strands like these, and these are the individual molecules. And if you look at the food chain, it all starts from the agricultural, where the animals are reared for agricultural purpose, where the meat industry consumes them for meat, And the skins or hides are the byproducts of the meat industry, and this leather industry takes this byproducts and utilizes them, and this is the market size of the global meat industry, which is closer to $1 trillion. And the leather industry, on the other hand, it is only about 300 billion US dollars. And if you look at the leather processing, it involves a lot of water and chemical inputs, and therefore it also leads to a lot of waste generations, both solid, liquid, and gaseous waste. And the solid waste alone, if you try to look at, it's about 600 to 700 kilograms waste generated for every ton of skins or hides processed. And these solid waste contain predominantly proteins, which has good economic potential, and therefore it can be used for certain applications. And there are two types of waste generated. One is containing chromium, and the other one is without any chromium. The chromium is normally used to make leather, which makes the protein stabilized, and without any degradation. And during the processing, you generate both kind of waste, with chromium and without chromium. And these are the terms they use, like trimmings, the split waste, fleshings, the buffing dust, the leather scraps. These are the names of those waste. And there are attempts already made to use these for a variety of applications. People try to use the trimmings for glue or gelatin or adhesive manufacture, and the chromium containing waste are used to make the boards or sheets for some applications. But there is some opportunity exists to make use of these waste to make high value materials like nanomaterials, composites, and biomaterials. So you can make potentially some advanced functional materials out of this waste. So I will be highlighting only with reference to the generation of nanomaterials and composites from protein waste. I will not go into the details of biomaterials at this point of time. So this is an example where I would like to show that we transform the pristine collagen waste without any chromium into a doped nanocarbons for energy applications. So we try to take this protein collagen waste, like the trimmings, and remove the hair and flesh and subject it to high temperature in the argon atmosphere, and which convert into a nanocarbon material. And if you look at these carbon materials, predominantly they have carbon, about 75 to 80%, and oxygen and nitrogen, because the structure of collagen itself has the nitrogen and oxygen. These carbons are self-doped materials. The nitrogen doped and oxygen functionality is also present in it. So as the temperature increases, the oxygen content increases, the nitrogen content decreases, and not much change in the carbon. These are the Raman and XRD data, which shows the presence of the key bands associated with the carbon, the nanocarbon material, the symmetric, asymmetric, the broad bands shows it is a single crystalline graphitic material with a 2D hexagonal lattice. And these are XRD data, again shows the diffraction peaks associated with the graphitic carbon. And the XPS data shows that the C, N, and oxygen, the peaks, and you see that in the nitrogen is substituting the inner carbon layers as seen from the data. So the preadenic nitrogen on the edge contribution is decreasing as the temperature increases, and you have predominantly the inner graphitic nitrogen being present at the higher temperature, which is very important for certain electrical properties of these materials. So these are the high resolution electron microscopic pictures, which shows these carbon are somewhat onion like structures, and we see that each layers are separated by about 3.363 angstrom, and there is a slight increase compared to the typical graphitic layers, which is primarily due to the defects owing to the nitrogen and oxygen atoms, because these are self-doped materials. And these are the multifunctional properties of these carbon nanostructures. These are electrically conducting and the magnetically active. This has ferromagnetic impurities, therefore there are certain magnetic effects. And these are also photoluminescent materials. And the electrical conductivity is up to the 410 to the power minus 1 Siemens per meter, specifically for the high temperature treated carbon. This video shows the magnetic effect of this carbon. However, it is due to the presence of impurities. So because of its good electrical properties, we try to use this for as an anode for lithium-ion battery applications, and we found that these can be used for different cycles, up to 50 cycles. These materials can be used, and with a specific capacity of 327 milliamp hour per gram. Even after 50 cycles, the stability is there. So the cycling stability is good for these materials. So this is another example where we try to use the chromium containing waste and then subject it to high temperature treatment in the presence of argon. And here again, we get some kind of a core shell kind of a material where the chromium is bound inside the carbon layers. So we get a kind of a core shell nanomaterials, and we can see that as from the XPS data, along with carbon, nitrogen, and oxygen, the chromium is also present in the materials. And the kind of chromium present is the trivalent and not the hexavalent one, which is very important for certain applications, because the trivalent chromium is fairly safer compared to hexavalent chromium, which is highly carcinogenic in nature. So these are the HR10 images, which shows that the particles are surrounded by carbon layers, and the chromium nanoparticle is present, which is around 40 nanometer. And this is the despacing, which is around 2.02 angstrom, which is comparable to the chromium oxygen bond length. And these are the different functional properties like electrical conductivity, magnetic, and the luminescent properties. And we see that the magnetization values are fairly higher compared to the previous carbon, primarily because the chromium also contributes to magnetic property because of it is paramagnetic in nature. So the total magnetization is improved compared to the previous case. So we try to use this for catalytic applications, and we use this as a catalyst for Azam-Michael addition reaction. And we see that the reaction time is reduced and the yield is increased. And we also use this for EMI shielding applications, the electromagnetic interference shielding, and we found that it is able to provide the total shielding efficiency of 40 decibels. So these catalysts can be used, the material for EMI shielding and catalytic applications. So here in this example, we try to generate nitrogen-rich carbon nanoanion for fuel cell technologies like for oxygen reduction reaction, ORR reaction. So we try to make a high percentage of nitrogen in the carbon skeleton. So here again, we subjected the trimming waste, and we maintain the temperature so that we get more nitrogen and we get the onion-like structures. And we see that the high percentage of nitrogen is present in the carbon molecular skeleton, which is proved through the XPS analysis also. And we try to use this for oxygen reduction reaction, and we found that it exhibits outstanding overall electrocatalytic activity with a low onset potential, high current density, superior methanol crossover immunity, and better durability, and it is stable up even after 3000 cycles compared to the benchmark platinum carbon catalyst in the alkaline medium. So in this example, we try to show that the ion embedded carbon nanostructures can be prepared from the collagen waste, again for energy and environmental applications. So we try to take the collagen scaffold, the materials, and prepared it as a scaffold along with the iron chloride. And then we try to carbonize them at higher temperature, and it forms kind of ion embedded carbon structures. So these are the images where which shows the ion is embedded in the carbon lattice, and we see that because the iron chloride is converted into a from a paramagnetic into a ferromagnetic material at higher temperature, and that leads to good magnetic moment up to 14 EMU per gram. It's a very good magnetic moment, and this primarily helps to convert the insulating and paramagnetic the collagen iron chloride scaffolds into a perfectly conducting and ferromagnetic bifunctional iron carbon nanoparticles. So we convert the insulating material into a conducting material and paramagnetic into a ferromagnetic material by the high temperature treatment. And this provides opportunity for dual applications. So we try to use it as a photocatalyst to remove the dyes. So we use the catalyst, and you can see that it is magnetic, so it can be absorbed. After reaction, you can separate it and take the catalyst, and then you can recycle it. And the dye removal happens within about 1 hour to 80 minutes. And we also use this for energy applications as a lithium-ion battery anode material. And we see that up to 80 cycles, the specific capacity is good with about 400 milliamp hour per grams. So the same kind of a system, we try to, instead of using iron chloride, we try to use the spion nanoparticles, the super paramagnetic iron oxide nanoparticle, and then we try to interact with the collagen triple helix to form a highly porous networks for a variety of applications. So we can see that the interaction of spion with collagen helps to enhance the thermal stability and increases the pores, the voids in the sponges, which provides scope for both biological applications and environmental applications. So we studied both. The cellular stability is good for these collagen spion sponges. Therefore, it can be used for biological applications as a scaffold. And we also use this for the environmental applications like oil removal. And you can see the oil absorption is up to 15 grams per gram, and it can also be used to remove the dyes as a absorbent. And this is the final example I would like to show, wherein we fabricated a dual purpose hybrid materials for tissue engineering and water remediation. So we try to take the collagen and interact with the modified polysaccharide along with titanium nanoparticles, and we try to do the freeze drying to make the scaffold, and which can be used for different applications. So these are the titanium nanoparticle characterization, where we can see that the individual particles are less than 20 nanometer. There is small aggregation, but the individual nanoparticles are about 10 to 5 nanometers. And we try to use this for the wound healing applications, where we show that the cellular stability is good, and it can be used for burn wound healing dressing material. And we created the burn wound, and we used the scaffolds to close these wounds, and we can see that the hybrid scaffolds close the wound very nicely after 21st day, whereas the control and untreated ones are not closed properly. So it has potential application as a burn wound healing material. And we also try to use this for the variety of water remediation applications. We see that these sponges can be used to remove the oil spontaneously, and also these also can remove the dyes very easily. So here we can see that this video shows the removal of oil using the sponge very quickly. And here the scaffold is used to remove the dye spontaneously, maybe within couple of minutes, the dye is able to remove. And we also investigated that these materials has very good compressibility and release behavior, and we have studied this super compressibility up to the 100 cycles, and we found that the structure is not getting affected, so which in principle provides scope for spacing away these dyes and or oil, and then we can reuse it for a number of cycles. So the stability of these scaffolds are pretty good even after hundreds of cycles. So this video shown for different compartmental cycling. This is around 50 cycles, and this is around 95th to 100 cycles. The shape is retained. All right, so I will stop with this, and probably I will move on to the final concluding slide. So I would like to conclude by saying that there are a variety of ways to convert these industrial bio-waste into useful multifunctional nanomaterials for making the different types of materials like self-doped carbon nanomaterials, chromium carbon core shell nanomaterials, nitrogen-rich carbon nanoonions, bifunctional iron carbon nanomaterials, magnetic porous sponge, nanohybrid super compressible scaffolds. So different materials can be prepared, and these can be again used for energy and environmental applications. It can be used. So our results show that the nanoscience and nanoengineering principles can be applied to transform the industrial bio waste into advanced materials for various high value applications. So I would like to acknowledge our collaborators, my past students and the collaborators in India and abroad, specifically Professor Ajayan from Rice University and the funding agencies to support our research. Thank you so much for your patient listening. And if you have any questions, please let me know.
Thank you, Doctor, for your presence and presentation. Is anyone having any queries? So I hope no questions. Once again, thank you, Doctor, for your valuable presentation.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. So I would like to call upon Dr. J.C. Taraftar from Central Arid Zone Research Institute from India. Hello, Doctor. Are you ready with your presentation?
Yes, I'm ready.
So now I'm making you the presenter. Please click on the screen button to share your screen. Yes, we can able to see your screen.
Can you see the slides?
Yes, I can able to see the slides, but make it as a full screen. Okay, perfect. Please continue with the talk.
Good afternoon to all of you. First of all, I am very much thankful to the organizers for giving me this opportunity. I shall speak on synthesized nanomaterial, promising material for use as fertilizer and plant protectants. Probably you all know when any dimension, maybe length, breadth, or height of a particle is 100 nanometer or less, then it is called nanoparticle. And under nano size, particles show some unusual properties which we can exploit for the benefit of mankind. Now, how we can use this nanoparticle in agriculture? Why we should go for it? Because they have high surface area and high reactivity. They are better penetration into the cell. they have increased plant and microbial activities, resulted more nutrient use efficiency. They are effective catalyst of plant and microbial metabolism, and they trigger the enzyme release. There are enormous scope of this nanoparticle to use in agriculture. You can use as coating, filters, magnets, barcodes, photocatalysts, as precision farming, and whatnot, as a sensors, as a tracers, as a nutrients, as a pesticides, and whatever it is. I mean, all aspect of agriculture use, you can do it with this nanoparticle. This nanoparticle can be prepared through physical, chemical, and aerosol techniques very easily. But problem is that particles are naked, and when particles are coming together, they are immediately agglomerating and becoming mega particle. Mainly, they are, at least they are becoming nanoscale particle. And if you coat them, this nanoparticle to use in agriculture, again it is coming under, most of the particle coming under nanoscale size. So nanoscale size is good for engineering purpose or medicinal purpose, but agriculture purpose we need as smaller particle size as possible. Therefore, we have developed a microbial synthesis technique of this nanoparticle, where we are isolating the organisms from the native soil, and then their spores we are using to prepare the mycelial ball. And this mycelial ball, we are allowing this mycelial ball to release the enzymes to break down our desired salts into nano. So this way, we are preparing all types of particles needed by in agriculture through microbial synthesis technique. And the beauty of this technique is, if you look at here, that means that each and every particle are naturally encapsulated by mother protein. So unless and until this protein layer breaks, these particles are stable. So this particle, we found that at room temperature, at least 1 to 2 years is stable. So it can very well be used for agriculture. This particle you can use as liquid form, or if you like, you can go for solid with treating with oleic acid and xylene and stir 1 hour at 50 degrees centigrade, and then centrifugal separation of modified particle. Then you wash with toluene and dry under vacuum, and you will get solid particles also. So either you use as liquid, or if farmers like, you can use as solid fertilizer. So we have developed so far almost 73 organisms which are producing different nanoparticles and different nanoparticles of agriculture use. I am showing some of the examples here. Even that same protein of particular microbial protein can break down even many salts of different nanoparticles. So they can prepare from same protein also, you can prepare different nanoparticles also, or sometimes they are preparing single particle. So how they are helping in agriculture? They can protect the soil. You see, when now we are using chemical fertilizer with irrigation water, there is nutrient loss, there is microbial buildup, less microbial buildup in the rhizosphere, less organic matter buildup in the rhizosphere, nutrient use efficiency is less, and nutrient mobility is less. But if you shift to nanofertilizer, then nutrient retention in the rhizosphere is more microbial buildup, more nutrient use efficiency, and nutrient mobility is much higher. Similarly, it can protect air. When we are applying chemical fertilizer irrigation water, there is a volatilization loss, especially in case of nitrogen. But if you go for nano fertilizer with irrigation water, you can avoid this emission loss. Again, we found that carbon nanotubes made from titanium dioxide nanoparticle, they can absorb carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. So you see 1 micrometer tubes become 5 micrometer, again 8 micrometer tubes become 15 micrometer after absorbing this carbon dioxide. So that also you can reduce the environmental pollution. Again, it can protect water. You see, when agrochemicals we are using, due to fast release, the root retention is less and groundwater is polluted. But if you use nanoparticle as agrochemicals or nano-coated, nanoparticle coated agrochemicals, then it increases absorption. So you can avoid the groundwater contamination. Again, up to 90% of agrochemicals directly run off in the environment due to their uncontrolled application. But nano-coated pesticide and fungicide can help control their release and can reduce environmental and health risks. If you compare the conventional fertilizer with microbial synthesized nanofertilizer, the solubility in case of nanofertilizer is high, improved dispersion of insoluble nutrients in soil, soil absorption and fixation is reduced in case of nanofertilizer, viability is high, nutrient use efficiency is high, so saves lot of fertilizer resources. Control release, you can release rate and pattern you can precisely control, extended effective duration, reduce loss of fertilizer nutrients. So why we prefer biosynthesis nanofertilizer? Because it has 30 to 100 times less required than chemical fertilizer, 4 to 20 times more efficient than chemical fertilizer, 2 to 4 times less costly, controlled release of nutrient to match the uptake pattern, that is very important, improve in the stability of insoluble nutrient in soil, and they enhance the effective duration of nutrient supply. Actually, we found that biosynthetic nanofertilizer can release the nutrient up to 40 to 50 days, whereas normal fertilizer only for 4 to 10 days. So you know that plant is suffering different abiotic and biotic stresses. This abiotic stresses is due to heat, drought, metals, cold, salt, flooding, which are ultimately affecting primary metabolites and ultimately plant development. Whereas they are suffering biotic stresses due to pathogenic attack, insect attack, herbivore attack, which is ultimately affecting the phytochromes and ultimately plant defense. So we found that different nanoparticles which can be used to protect these plant stress conditions. For example, we found the effective pathogenic attack, copper, silver, titanium dioxide, sulfur. These are the nanoparticles which is very effective. Viral attack, silver and gold nanoparticle is very effective. Insect attack, aluminum, silver, titanium dioxide, zinc oxide, silicon dioxide nanoparticle. Nematode attack, titanium dioxide, zinc oxide, aluminum. Weed attack, silver and copper nanoparticle. Moisture stress, zinc and iron nanoparticle. Saline stress, selenium and cerium oxide. Temperature stress, selenium and silver. And different nanoparticles can be used as oxidizing agent such as titanium dioxide, zinc oxide, zinc sulfate, etc. So, and again, we found zinc and iron nanoparticle can be used to enhance the protein content. You can see if you compare with a chemical fertilizer, and it reducing the SOD activity. That is very important. Lower the SOD activity means more stress tolerance. So in field, you may get plants more stress tolerant when you apply biosynthesis nanofertilizer to the plants. Again, if you look at here, the co-field content has been increased with nanosynthesized, biosynthesized nano zinc with our nano iron, and MDA activity declining. MDA activity declining means the reduction of prevention of membrane damage. So plants become more survivable when you apply nanoparticles as fertilizer to the plants or as protectors to the plants. Again, with magnesium and titanium dioxide nanoparticle, we found that light absorption is increasing, and again, the 21% light absorption is increasing, and co-field content is improving with the application of this magnesium nanoparticle. You can make this nanoparticle as nanobio formulation. Also, it is the integration of biofertilizer with microbial synthesized nanoparticles in order to improve the better growth and of the crop. The formulations containing one or more beneficial microorganisms enhancing soil productivity, maybe nitrogen fixers, P solubilizers, mobilizers, plant growth promoting stimulators. The major advantage we are getting with this formulation, the shelf life and delivery of biofertilizer has been improved. The release of active ingredient in controlled manner, solve the limitation of biofertilizer, enhance the stability of biofertilizer, protection against oxidation, consecutive delivery of multiple active ingredient. This nanobio formulation you can very well prepare by simply or through electrospray or by using electrospray or by using nanospray. The major advantages we are getting with this formulation are the increased plant photosynthetic rate, promote plant growth, increase plant biomass, increase plant protein, extended harvest, reducing stress, accumulation of pollen, synthesis of plant hormones, siderophore production, biological nitrogen fixation, and phosphorus solubilization and mineralization. This nanoparticle, this microbial synthesized nanoparticle, you can use through Coalesce, soil, you can use directly on soil, through drip, through sprinkler, through hydroponic, aeroponic, or aquaponic. But we found that if the best growth you will get if you use as Coalesce spray, because then you can activate the plant system also, entire plant system, you can activate it. I'll show you some results. Now, this nanoparticle, we found that if you do aerosol spray or nebulizer, then it is better, because then only 15% loss in the environment is there. But if you use normal sprayer, then loss is 33%. So it is better as smaller size as nozzle as possible to spray this nano fertilizer. Now, the particle size is also very important. If particle size is 20 nanometer less, then you can see the results. The within 48 hours, 53%, we are spraying on leaves, 53% is pierced through from the leaves to root. Whereas when it is 40 nanometer, only 21%. When 16 nanometer, it is only 11%. So smaller the size is the better. Again, tube shaped nanoparticle is the better within 24 hours. This much of coming to the roots, and plate shape, wire shape, or case shape nanoparticle. So this should be considered when spraying. The aerosol spray should be used. Again, particle size should be as smaller as possible, and then tube shaped nanoparticle better for agriculture use. When we are using the nanoparticle to the plants, it can enter through the plant through cuticle, stomata, hydrothece, stigma, or other anticides, or from the roots also, root tips, rhizodermis, lateral root junction, or wounding. So how it is entering, you can see it here. The nanoparticle is entering to cuticle or the stomata. After entering, you can see it here. While moving to cell trap, it is triggering the different enzyme systems. So they are making plant system active, and ultimately the either absorbing after becoming megaparticle, either nutrient, or some nanoparticles may be accumulated in vacuole. So now how they are triggering the enzymes, you can see this is the structure of phosphatase. If you look at the coenzyme system, magnesium, phosphorus, and zinc. So if you apply any of the nanoparticle to the plant system, you will get more phosphatase released by the plants. So more P mobilization, phosphorus mobilization by the plant. So that way, so this is the other beauty of this biosynthetic nanoparticle is that with applying one element, for example here, if you apply the magnesium nanoparticle, you may get effect of phosphorus as well as zinc. So if you look at here, we are getting 32 to 212% improvement of different beneficial enzyme activity. And this I am documented here 12 different crops. You can see it here. The enzyme release, the dehydrogenase 25 to 68%, styrose 23 to 90%, like this. Acid alkaline phytase, this is P mobilizing enzymes, 21 to 136% improvement, nitrate reductase 12 to 47% improvement, and allyl sulfate 19 to 68% improvement you may get. So we have optimized the doses required by the plants, and you see optimum dose. That is very important, because these optimum doses, if you apply this optimum dose, then they keep plant healthy. And you see the nitrogen, in case of nitrogen, the 80 ppm is the best for cereals and legumes, phosphorus 40 ppm, potassium 40 for cereals, 20 for leguminous crop, magnesium 20 ppm, zinc 10 ppm, iron 30 ppm, boron 4 ppm for cereals, and 10 ppm for legumes, and molybdenum 6 ppm for cereals, and 2 ppm for legumes. So if you compare the nutrient use efficiency, in case of chemical fertilizer, our main problem with nutrient use efficiency, that most of the nutrients are lost, either absorption or leaching or volatilization. Now you look at here, nitrogen, the use efficiency is 30 to 35%, whereas microbial synthesized nanonutrients, it is enhancing to 80 to 85%. phosphorus 4 times enhancement is there, potassium 2.5 times enhancement is there, sulfur 4 times enhancement is there, iron you can see any micronutrient, iron, zinc and copper 20 times enhancement of nutrient use efficiency you are getting. So it is great benefit for agriculture. I am comparing here with one nutrient. What is happening? Present scenario is we are using chemical fertilizer, and future is that nano fertilizer we are advocating. The chemical fertilizer, it is macrophy, nano is nanophy. Here, in case of chemical fertilizer, 0.7 to 3% of native P in plant available form, but nanophy 30% native P mobilization due to this triggering of enzymes in the plants. So 15% applied P available to plant. Here P use efficiency 4 times we can enhance in case of phosphorus, 61%. Here in case of macro P, calcium, iron, aluminum, silica inhibit available P. You know, you will not get any soil in the world where more than 3% P in available form. But in case of nano P, no interference due to nano size and foliar application. So that advantage we are getting. In case of chemical fertilizers, less plant initiative to mobilize P. Here, increase in plant activity due to triggering of enzymes. So here, in case of India, I am talking imported raw material for P fertilizer production, and that way we are draining huge amount of foreign exchange, who is declining the government revenue due to subsidy. Also, we are giving this subsidy. So that way, no requirement, if you shift to nano fertilizer, no requirement of subsidy and import of raw material. So what benefits we are getting ultimately? 80 to 100 times less required, less cost. You see, this is we have compared the nanophy cost per hectare and this chemical fertilizer SSP and DAP. 10 times more stress tolerant, yield increase 23 to 54%. It is eco-friendly, can be applied all types of crop. In terms of Indian rupees, we have calculated per hectare benefit 4,000 to 17,000 rupees, and 32 to 212% increase in beneficial enzyme activity and improvement in soil health also. So all way we can help plants if we shift to a nano fertilizer instead of chemical fertilizer. Again, if you look at the yield increase due to nanomaterial application, I am showing you 12 crops. You have already tested 32 crops with different nanomaterial, both in research field as well as farmers field, and we found that 17 to 54% over recommended doses of chemical fertilizer application you may expect if you shift from chemical fertilizer to nano fertilizer. So now, again, another aspect is very important. When we are using nano nutrient, then you see the polysaccharide producing microorganisms, the polysaccharide production has been increased. Huge amount of polysaccharide production we found, increase in polysaccharide production. You see, this is in polysaccharide producing fungi. It is almost 12 times polysaccharide production more. This is the initial polysaccharide production capacity, and this must increase. In case of bacteria, also you are going to so much increase with the application. I am showing one example with the application of nano zinc. So we have developed a method which we have patented for this for polysaccharide powder production. You see, we are producing different polysaccharide powder from different bacteria and different fungi. And if you look at here, this is the Josherme soil. So this polysaccharide powder we are using for soil aggregation, moisture retention, and carbon buildup. If you look at here, Josherme soil where more than 95% particles are in sand, within 1 month, so fine aggregate we are getting, and we are getting 33 to 80% increase in 1 millimeter size of aggregate, 82% improvement in 0.5 millimeter size of aggregate, and more than 50% improvement in 0.18 millimeter size of aggregate. So if you look at the carbon buildup, organic carbon, you know polysaccharide is carbon, so immediately you are getting huge amount of carbon buildup in the system. But at crop harvest, at least 3 to 4% carbon buildup is you can expect, because with gradual microbial buildup also we are losing carbon in between, but 3 to 4% you can expect
at crop maturity, the carbon buildup. And if you look at the moisture retention capacity, this I am showing the results of arid soils where it is very important for moisture retention. Here we are getting 10 to 14% more moisture retention by application different percentage of this polysaccharide powder. So if you look at compare the crop yield of different generation of fertilizer, you see first generation of fertilizer, you know, it is chemical fertilizer. If you look at throughout world crop, the increase in yield, if you compare, you see 14 to 18% on an average yield we are getting increase with the chemical fertilizer. Second generation fertilizer is organic fertilizer, 8 to 12% increase you may expect if you take all average. Third generation fertilizer is growth stimulator. There you can get 5 to 10% enhancement in yield, but in case of microbial synthesized nanonutrients, we are getting at least we can expect 24 to 32% improvement in yield, this nano fertilizer. Again, if you look at the health index, soil health index, another very important criteria, you see chemical fertilizer after 5 years continuous application, soil health is reducing like anything. In case of organic fertilizer, you can get good maintenance of soil health. In case of growth stimulator, also the soil health is improving. And if you look at in case of microbial synthesized nano fertilizer, the soil health is maintaining very well. So you can maintain the soil health also. So no need, no confusion of that you maintain the soil health, you are getting good yield and everything. So now the ethical issues, that is another important, whether this nano fertilizer is affecting to the ethical issues. If you look at here, seed germination, this you can see that with ordinary fertilizer, with nano fertilizer, we have compared, the no significant differences there. So no adverse effect on seed germination, no adverse effect of soluble seed protein content. You can see it here. And if you look at it here, the microbial population, you see, intentionally I am showing the result of zinc, which is detrimental at higher dose. But recommended doses of application, the microbial population is enhancing the other bacteria, fungal, active population in the system. And if you look at here, the grain consumption and blood phase, when after feeding the food, the nano food, when feeding to the animals, you can see body weight is slightly enhancing, rather consumption rate is slightly enhancing, and blood phase, no change in blood phase. So no adverse effect when we are using recommended doses application. And if you look at histopathological analysis, no adverse effect with liver, continuous feeding with 5 years to the animals, no adverse effect to liver, kidney, and spleen. So recommended doses of application is very safe to use for agriculture use as fertilizer as well as protectants. And if you look at the genetic differences, is there or not? Yes, definitely there are some differential expression of immunogens we are getting when we are using nano fertilizer. And in case of cereals, you see 6,542 immunogens expressed differently, and some immunogens significantly down regulated and some significantly up regulated. But actually it is helping in the sense that when we are using this nano fertilizer to cereal crops, then one enzyme known as endo-beta manase that is secreting from the plants, and that enzyme is helping for embryogenesis, seed germination, fruit growth, leaf formation, flower development, and fruit ripening. So lot of ways these enzymes are helping to us. And in case of leguminous crop, if you look at, you see there also that many immunogens expressed differently. This much immunogen is significantly down regulated and this much significantly up regulated. So when we analyze this individually, this significance of this changes of these immunogens, we found that they are actually helping carbohydrate metabolism, this much 605, lipid metabolism, nucleotide metabolism, this much immunogens, amino acid metabolism, and biosynthesis secondary metabolism. So indirectly, these changes, it is beneficial to the crops. They are helping to us. So what we have learned from this deliberation, actually what we are taking home, that biosynthesis nanoparticle has the ability to prevent environmental, air, water, soil pollution. It has the potential to reduce omit conventional fertilizer application as well as plant stress condition. Biosynthetic nanoparticles are very safe with the recommended doses of application. It can increase the nutrient use efficiency, and with much lower investment to the plant, it can protect and increase the efficiency of biofertilizer. Thank you very much. Thank you for your patience.
Thank you, Doctor, for your presence and presentation. Is anyone having any questions?
Yes, please. I have a question, please.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you so much for this presentation, and it is very fruitful application for nanomaterials. But I have
Thanks very much,
certain
Dr.
questions. Pardon?
Taraftar, for the valuable presentation, and congratulations on your talk.
Thank you.
Is anyone having any questions?
Yes, I have.
Yes, Dr. Bashir, please continue.
Yes. It is very interesting presentation about using the nanofertilizers. But I have certain concerns about the components of the environment here. First of all, do you think that we need to test the effect of the used nanomaterials and the fertilizers on the organisms that are living in the same area, such as snails, bacteria, rodents, etc., etc. This is one. They might affect the organisms, the fauna in the area where the fertilizers are used. One more concern also. What about the stability of the fertilizers? Because you know the fertilizers, in such case in the field, they will be exposed to light, and to variation in the temperature. So are they stable in these different conditions? If you visit me, I will have another question about the contamination of the groundwater in the same area that you use the fertilizer. Have you considered all these factors together? Before we consider this, I'm afraid that we cannot call that these products that eco-friendly. I know that in some countries they try to use the nanomaterials to remove pollutants from water, but they discovered at the end they remove certain pollutants from water, but they add nanoparticles to that affect the fishes and the water life there. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm coming one by one. Your first question was that what is the effect of this nanofertilizer to the organisms as well as animals present in the soil. You see, I have already shown that with actually fauna we have not tested so far, but flora I have shown that even with application of zinc, when we are using the recommended doses, that is very important. That's how we have fixed the recommended doses for all nutrients. That is very important. If we use the recommended doses, no adverse effect, rather the microbial population is increasing even with the application of zinc. All other nutrients is increasing like anything. Microbial population is increasing. Fauna I have not tested, so I can comment. And about your what was your second question? That whether what is your second question, please? Can you tell me again?
Yeah, the second part I asked about the stability of the nanoparticles that are used in the fertilizers. How stable are they? Because
yes, that one thing that's why I tell you that better to application of nanoparticle as a aerosol or nebulizer technique, so that the less is exposed to the environment. That our experiment shows that only 15% we exposed in the environment when we are using a very fine nozzle or nebulizer. but normal sphere it is 33%. We are exposing to the environment. So that is one aspect one has to see, that that as fine nozzle as possible. Again, that concentration we are using, that is very important. The concentration we are using, that is not detrimental to any system. That we are using only 10 ppm or 15 ppm or 20 ppm, like this we are advocating. So adverse effect you will get when you use 50 ppm or above, or 100 ppm or more. So that is very important, that you use the recommended dose. And recommended dose we have tested, that is very safe. We are testing now almost 10 years continuously, and we are feeding our product to the animals, and we are getting it is very good, excellent product to use for animals. And regarding your third question, hello. Your third question regarding the pollution, that we have never tried with that, that how to remove the contamination. But I think that you can remove it. There are a lot of literature available in the literature, lot of literature available, and they are removing now with the different contaminants. But yes, definitely one has to see that whether it is affecting the plants or not. I mean water animals or fish, and that rodents or anything, whatever in the water. So everywhere the nanomaterial, the main thing is that you have to fix the doses first. Safe dose is very important. And when we apply in the field, that you advocate the farmers or industrialists or anybody, that you recommend the dose, and that must be followed in detail. That is very important.
Yeah, what about the possibility of the groundwater contamination by these nanomaterials?
Actually, it is mostly it is that leaching loss is very less, because immediately they say it is the movement is very fast, and you can control the movement also with the plant requirements. So that is another advantage with the nanomaterial, not like conventional fertilizer. So the loss is very less, and you are using very small amount. You see, 100 times less than chemical fertilizer, and you are getting use efficiency almost 20 times more. That advantage you are getting in case of nano fertilizer, that less required and more use efficiency. And you can mobilize, especially the mobile nutrients. You can even with smaller amount, that is enough, because already in the nature we are getting huge amount of accumulation. Say for example, phosphorus, zinc, lot of accumulation in the natural system, that you can mobilize even 10 years. You need not have to apply any phosphatic fertilizer chemically. Otherwise, the fertilizer which is mobile, then that fertilizer, definitely some fertilizer 20% or 25% or 50% your fertilizer you have to apply, because nano fertilizer you are using very less concentration, very less amount. That one has to remember, that plant requirements is plant requirement. They are taking that, they are taking that much. So either you mobilize from the soil, or you trigger your plant system by nanoparticle and mobilize through plants. So that way you have to ultimately get the food required by plants, that you have to compromise.
Thank you.
Thank you, doctor, for the explanation. Is anyone having any questions? So I hope no questions. Once again, thank you.
Thank you very much.
So next, moving on to our next session by Dr. Sivasubramaniam Palaniswamy from Dilgap Research Institute of Engineering and Management Studies, India. Hello, Dr. Subramaniam. Are you ready with your presentation?
Yeah, I am ready, ma'am. Can you share the presentation?
Just a second. I am making you the presenter. Yes, please click on the screen button to share your screen.
No, I am not able. Yeah, just a minute.
Please click on the screen button to share your screen.
Yeah, just a minute, madam.
Yes.
Just a minute. I will connect on my thing. Just a minute.
Okay.
So can you able to see my slide?
Yes, we can able to see your screen. Okay.
Is it okay?
Yes, perfect.
Can I start my
Yeah, please
presentation?
go. Yes.
Yeah. So good afternoon to everyone. So my presentation title is Tensile Properties and Fracture Morphology of Acacia bark fiber treated with a different alkali concentration. So myself, Sivasubramanian Palnisamy, working as an associate professor at the Department of Mechanical Engineering at the Dilkap Research Institute of Engineering and Management Studies, Maharashtra. At the same time, the researcher at the Department of Mechanical Engineering, Kalasalingam Academy of Research and Education, Tamil Nadu. So this is my objective of this study. The study concentrated on effect on different concentration of alkali treatment on chemical composition of fibers, resulting in changes in fiber morphology, then differences in tensile performance, single fiber tensile performances, and it can be considered as being preparatory to production of acacia bark fibers composites. So from this thing, before explaining those things, first of all, so I need to explain the related to alkali treatment. So the fiber were treated with the different concentrations, like 5%, 10%, and 15% of concentration of NaOH solution by being kept in the relevant NaOH solution for 24 hours. The fibers were then cleaned with distilled water and dried at a room temperature. The excess moisture available in the fibers were then removed by the drying the fiber in the oven with a temperature set by 70 degrees Celsius for 24 hours. The fibers after drying are kept in the desiccators until tested to prevent moisture absorption from the atmosphere. Then I'm coming to the extraction of the acacia fiber. The stem, so this one the stem which I choose that acacia bark stem. This stem have been collected from the plant of acacia. So this plant is available in India, especially in Kerala, some places in Tamil Nadu. So that's why I choose this plant for my research work. So this stem is collected, were dipped and left it in the water for 15 to 20 days, followed by removal of the outside. So this outside skin of the stem by hammers, and finally remove the acacia bark fibers. So this is the stem which I choose from acacia plant. So this outer skin only, the matured the stem, matured skin, the outer area only I extracted from the stem which I showing the B. Okay, the fiber were washed in the running water and dried for 2 to 3 days at the room temperature. So after so first one is here the trunk, acacia trunk. So from this trunk only, the outer area only I extracted. From the extracted one only, so this fiber bundle have been extracted. So now what you are saying is, so this is the single fiber which one I extracted. So which I extracted from the bark. Okay, so this only I have used for my experimentation for single fiber tensile test. So this is the fiber, the diameter. I have measured the diameter. So here, So these fibers belongs to the 10 weight percentage of alkali treated the fiber diameter. So here the metallurgical microscope was used to measure the fiber diameter. So approximately, not approximately, exactly 20 fibers were randomly selected before and after alkali treatment at each tender of the sodium hydroxide. So on each fiber, the 5 places I have chosen for the measure the diameter, being careful about the absence of the loose spots detached from the filament. So this only I have, so from this only. So then after that, the density. So density and the diameter measurement were carried out before the tensile test to ensure the maintain the property of the specimen for analysis. So the idea of applying alkaline treatment is aimed primarily at removing the amorphous components and reducing the hemicellulose content, thereby improving the fiber and the matrix bonding. So this is the average density and the diameter, so which I showed this figure. Okay, so in this figure, the effect of alkali treatment on the values and the density as well as the diameter, I have displayed in this table. The reduction, so you can see this. So reduction of the diameter with increasing the concentration of the alkali treatment. So when you are increasing the alkali, first one is untreated, the 5%, 10%, 15%. When I'm increasing the alkali treated, so automatically you could look at here, the diameter is getting reduced. Okay, so reduction of the diameter of the increasing the concentration of the alkali treatment, particularly the evidence when passing from the 10% and the 15%. Okay, so it is I'm suggesting that the removal of the loose and not structural matters from the fibers. So if you are saying the other side, the effect of density appear less evidence. Okay, so when you are comparing to synthetic fibers, definitely it is reduced. Okay, although once again the main differences are observed from this table between 10 and 15%. Okay, the values obtained by pyrometer measurement depends on the amount of the voids present, which would need to separate the investigation. So it is a remarkable, though, that the other type of acacia bark fibers, acacia type of bark fibers, the density has been proven to be ever the lower, such like the fibers like acacia arabica, the density is 1028. So then I am coming to the surface morphology. So when I am telling about the surface morphology, so you can see this figure, the A is untreated, B is a 5%, C is a 10%, D is a 15%. So from this diagram, you can see this, the micrograph of the fiber surface indicates the larger exposures of the cellular material in the extreme cases of the untreated fibers and the 15% of treated one. So this can be referred to the former case, to the larger amount of non-structural material present, whereas in the latter case, this may be more pertaining to the excessive removal of it. So when you are looking to the 5% and 10% treatment, the fiber surface can be suggested to be more uniform and possibly smoother. Okay, it can be suggested that treatment is able to particularly modify the geometry of the fiber due to the rather flatten the shape. Okay, so this is the more typical of the bark fibers, while the example does not happen in the case of the leaf fibers, such as those extracted from the different species of bulbs, where more typical polygonal shapes are encountered, which leads to limited modifications and hence possibly damage of the higher tenor of the chemical treatments. So now I'm coming to the chemical composition of untreated as well as the alkali treated acacia bark fiber. Okay, so as far as chemical composition reported in this table, the concern that the progressive reduction of the hemicellulose fraction of the hemicellulose fraction and the consequent proportional increase in the lignin as well as the cellulose. Okay, so you can see this, the hemicellulose, when you are increasing the alkali treated 5%, 10%, 15%, when you are increasing the alkali treatment, so automatically the cellulose is increasing as well as the lignin is increasing. The hemicellulose is decreasing from 20 to 10.2. So this is the single fiber tensile test, the mechanical properties. So single fiber tensile test, the details, the load and displacement curve. So from this graph curve, so it is suggesting us here the principal limitation of factor on the possible use of acacia bark fiber would be their quite low elongation to break. The several time the lower than that example, like the brown coir. The brown coir has reported like deferred and colleagues during 2010. For the showing the typical curves, the 4 slots were purposely selected having a similar tensile loads, ultimate loads. In terms of variation, the single fiber tensile test the property with the different fibers. Here you can see this from this. This is the single fiber tensile test. The data of untreated 5, 10, 15%. As suggested from this figure, this image, the treatment of the 5%. This is untreated. The 5% sodium hydroxide does produce only a very limited improvement over the untreated fiber performance. Only limited when you are comparing to untreated, only very limited improvement over the untreated fiber performance. In the contrast, the data appear less scattered in a 10% treatment fiber, while conversely the clear decrease of both the tensile strength and the elongation is over the 15% of alkali treatment. So this figure shows that the different types of the breakage after conducting the single fiber tensile test. I have shown that the image of the each and everything. So the first row is untreated 5%, 10%, 15%. Okay, the different category of acacia bark fiber. So after conducting the single fiber breakage test. So in this figure shows that, so some of the examples, the different mode of the fracture of the fibers are reported. Different mode of the fibers are reported in this figure. The amount of splitting between the aligned structure of fibril is very variable. The being globally higher with the 15% of treatment. Okay, so from this reading data, so another sense, so what's good reason on the tensile fracture? So those tensile fracture to be more or less the concentrated in the very area where it is occurred. It would mean to generate or not shear action leading to the separation of the different fibril at some distance from the midpoint of the tensile samples. So everything is happened at the midpoint of the tensile sample of this acacia bark fiber and the single fiber tensile test. So definitely it can be suggested that, so aforementioned, the separation of fibril can be the limited factor for the resistance of the fibers. So previous studies like the bamboo single fiber tensile test suggested that the fracture by splitting would be non-regular mode of the failure. Thereby the relevant result like Bill and colleagues during 2018 they are mentioned. Okay, this might be a factor of concern of our case because of this event appear to be frequent. So now I'm coming to the single fiber tensile test property of untreated and alkali treated. So from this data, from this table, so what I'm saying is, so it is suggesting that the 10% ultimate load as well as the elongation is having the better performance. Okay, as a whole improvement obtained by alkali treatment so are much more limited than the case of the fiber is direct competitor of the acacia such as the coir. So this statement mentioned like NAM and colleagues during 2011. Yet while in most cases the enhancement of the tensile property with a 5%, most of the cases the 5% of NaOH treatment were deemed sufficient, rather acting on its time duration to promote the alkali penetration. For in my case, the acacia bark fiber increasing the tenor of sodium hydroxide up to 10% had a definitely some effect and was worth pursuing. Okay, the performance obtaining by 10% of treatment is comparable with those of other bark fibers, such it is a case of Albizia amara, where the elongation is even lower. During the 2018, the Sendamari Kannan and co-authors mentioned over there. So this is the earlier which I showed that morphology. There's a surface morphology of the acacia bark fiber. So which one I showed here, the figure 8, which I showed here is especially after conducting the single fiber tensile test, the breakage, the portion I have taken the morphology analysis. Okay, so this figure shows that the fracture surface, fracture surface of the samples each category of the acacia bark fibers. It is reporting in this study the same micrograph of the fracture surface, the figure A, B, C, D, the figure A, the different possible modes of fractures are apparent, passing from the fracture due to the sliding, the fracture of apparent passing from the fracture due to the sliding and the tearing of the fibrils, as in figure A. Okay, at the same time, if you are looking to the figure B and the figure C, okay, appearance of some rotation or splitting of the fibers during the fracture. Okay, then when you are looking to the D, the last figure, it can be lead to the fracture of the fiber with the torsion of the filament, which has been revealed to the fracture for scarce mechanical performance. So based upon those studies, so which I conducted for this study, based upon this, so I'm concluding that the tensile property of the tensile properties, the chemical composition and the fracture morphology of the acacia bark fiber subjected to different level of acacia treatment up to 15% of NaOH were studied. It has been highlighted that the maximum level of treatment employed was able to promote the removal of half of the hemicellulose contained in the material. If you are saying the other side, the resulted in some structural damage of the fiber, which is suggested that the lower level of treatment as 10%. So we have conducted 5%, 10%, 15%. So when you are comparing to 15%, the lower level of treatment such as 10% of NaOH was preferably in terms of optimizing tensile performance. as a regards the thermal, I conducted that thermal degradation. So actually, in this thermal degradation, even 10% of NaOH was found to be possibly slightly excessive through still acceptance. And issue that needed to be highlighted is the occurrence of splitting and torsion of the fiber during the tensile loading, especially after treatment. This may be suggested that an optimal length of the fiber need to be obtained for introduction of filler in the polymer composites, which might not correspond with the longest stretch of the fiber, technically the extractable with the rating. The issue of measuring equivalent diameter of the fiber in view of their ellipticity, presence of voids in them, can constitute of object of further investigation. So this is my the reference which I referred. So my presentation is over. So based upon my presentation, if you have any queries, so really I am very happy to answer.
Thank you, Doctor, for your valuable presentation and presence. Is anyone having any queries? So I hope no questions. Thank you once again.
Okay, thank you, madam. Thank you so much for your valuable time. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes. So due to some technical issues, Dr. Yasir Mohammed will not attend the webinar. So by this we came to the end of day 2 webinar, and I would like to thank you all the attendees and participants of today's conference. Hope you enjoyed the conference and gained knowledge from today's sessions. And I request you, if you have any queries, you can email, and we'll be glad if you could join us in our next conference, which is scheduled on November 10th and 11th in Paris, France. And the dates will be confirmed to you by email. We'll be very happy if you could share your opinion, feedback with us.
Definitely, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you.